So here's a typical discriminants question. Find the set of values of k for which 2x squared plus kx plus 8 equals 0 has no real roots. I want you to get comfortable with the question first, so let's talk about bits of it. So find the set of values of k. That tells you that you're going to have inequalities going on because you've got the set of values of k rather than values of k. K is a typical letter you should get used to in these kind of questions. They love to use K. You know, for other topics they might have N for nth term and stuff, so K is the letter for discriminants questions. There's your quadratic, so from that you're going to get your discriminant. And it says no real roots. So in my previous video I talked about the fact that you can have either 2 roots, 1 root, or no roots. So we'll talk about that in a minute. The fact that there's no real roots, the real thing is not so important. It's just trying to be mathematically accurate because you could have imaginary roots, which we're not talking about in this question. So let's get the discriminant, which is what this question is about. So here's our quadratic. A, B, and C are the numbers in front of x squared, x, and the constant at the end. So basically A is 2, B is k, and C is 8, like you can see there. Stick that into our discriminant, which is b squared minus 4ac. Basically that gives you b squared minus 4ac is k squared minus 64. You know, b squared is k squared minus 4 times A, which is 2, times C, which is 8, all together that multiplies to make 64. So b squared minus 4ac is k squared minus 64. That's our discriminant. And the fact that we've got no real roots means our discriminant is less than 0. So I've talked about that in my previous video, so hopefully that makes sense, that b squared minus 4ac is less than 0. Therefore k squared minus 64 is less than 0 because k squared minus 64 is our discriminant in this case. Basically, that's a quadratic inequality. So, factorizing that, you know, difference of two squares gives you this. K minus 8 times k plus 8 is less than 0. And that's a graph that we can draw, and we can easily see where it crosses the k-axes in this case, because we don't have x's, we have k's, and it gives you this graph here. And we know from doing inequalities before that if you've got these 2 points, and we want to know when the function is less than 0, well, this graph is the function, represents the function, so it's less than 0 over here. That means the k values for which is less than 0 is between minus 8 and 8, because the graph crosses the k-axes at minus 8 and 8. So basically, the values of k for which the discriminant has no real roots, or this function has no real roots, is between minus 8 and 8, like I've written here. Minus 8 is less than k, which is less than 8, between those two.